Thank you. Hey. How you been?
I'm good. Being content with where I am and like understanding like I might not be where I want to be right now, but the period of life I'm in right now is still like important and just being gracious and enjoying, the phase of life I'm in right now.
Yeah, heavy on the grace part because I just was not like giving myself space to like be human sometimes. Like I had this really bad perfectionist thing going on. So I have been having to really give myself more grace because I'm a very gracious person to other people. And I just feel like you can't do that for other people and not do it for yourself. So I've really been like doing my best to just take it day by day. Like, girl, I'm 26. Like, I've got a lot of life left to live, God willing. And I got to take my time. So,
Yeah, I feel you on the perfectionist thing. I feel like people don't talk about enough like when you're in school, when you're in college, you're constantly like being productive and constantly like achieving things, and then you graduate and then you get your job and you're kind of like in your job, chilling, making money. But I kind of got addicted to that, like constantly achieving something, like knocking things off of the list, and like that goes along with my perfectionism because I feel like I need to prove that I can constantly do something.
yeah.
So that's been a struggle for me.
Yeah, like proving that you can perform.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean performing like it's not like a bad thing. I mean more so like, okay, I'm able to do this, so now I can move on to the next thing. Ooh, I'm able to do this. And I had that really bad in college. I think that's where it peaked for me. And we were in college together. Like, we both were very involved in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it did become almost like a checklist. Like, everything that I was doing wasn't necessarily connected to purpose. It was just, I'm in college, I'm having fun.
Right.
I'm really trying to make the most of my time and my money while I'm here. So I'm just doing a lot of things. But some of them just burned me out because it wasn't really connected to anything. It was just something I did for fun.
Right.
And I don't think that's a terrible thing, but it really taught me a lot when I got out of college. Like, I had to go through that so that now I'm very much willing to say, you know what, I can do that, but I shouldn't.
Right.
Like, I don't have to do all these things. There's no checklist for me to be breaking down. Like, I really just need to focus on what's fulfilling me and bringing me purpose. I have this fear of being burned out now because I went through a phase of just going through the motions, and it's like we go through that for so long it can become almost debilitating because it's like you may not even realize that you've been in it for that long. But now I'm so willing to turn down things that I feel like could drain my energy and not necessarily add anything to the overall purpose of what I'm trying to figure out while I'm here on this earth.
Right.
So I'm almost afraid of just like burning out again because that really, like, I'm seeing who I am now when I'm at peace and I'm, healthy all the way around. And I just am afraid to like scale back. But I know sometimes it does get busy. Life does life.
Yeah.
But man, that burnout is just,
So
I don't like it.
what is the burnout like for you? Like,
So burnout is like brain fog. I can't think straight. My anxiety is just peaking. I'm overly nervous about everything, just daily tasks, because I do have anxiety, and I discovered that I had it in college actually. Like, same symptoms that I've always had as a kid, but I just thought I was a very like sensitive girl. Like, girl, you got anxiety real bad. But lately I've been able to manage it in a lot of healthier ways, like working out, eating right, journaling, meditating, doing yoga, stuff like that. But before, I mean, I wasn't doing any of those things, but I felt like I was always a very high achiever, but it always comes at a cost. At least for me, it did. It came at a cost. It cost me my peace of mind. I felt like I gotta be stressed to get to this next point. I gotta be stressed or else I'm not doing something right. And it's like, that's really not true. Yes, we experience stressful moments, but I really don't think it's normal for us as people or as a society to feel like I have to be stressed and I have to be busy all the time and I have to be producing all the time or else I'm stagnant or else I'm not going to get to the next point. Like, that's just not normal.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that's how high functioning anxiety works. Like, they see you're constantly out doing things, putting yourself in the forefront, and they're like, she can't be anxious, she doesn't have anxiety, she's always doing these things. And it's like, no, if I don't, I'll literally crumble. If I'm not doing something, like keeping myself busy or feeling productive, like I said earlier, like that is what really will consume you. But it's good that you found those ways to, like, you know, take care of yourself and so that you don't burn out. Do you feel like you are what are you currently doing right now?
So, this is going on year one. It's a little over a year since I left my 9 to 5 job that I had before, and now I'm full time freelance creative. So,
Beautiful.
directing, acting, voiceover. But the thing with that is that's on a when I get booked type of basis. This is not an everyday thing. So it's not this, it's not always this like super glamorous thing where it's just like I'm just always working. But then I realized I don't always want to work. Like, as much as I love what I'm doing, like I don't always want to feel like that's just what I'm doing, like all the time to like make my money and things like that. And granted, God is really working through me in the beginning stages of my career, because I'm gonna be real, I'm not making a lot of money right now, and that is definitely something that can cause anxiety, that can cause some confusion. Did I make the right choice? Should I just continue and get another job? Should I do X, Y, and Z? And I'm still at home with my parents, so of course I want my own place at some point. All of those things are things that I desire. But I just keep hearing God saying, like, just take it little by little right now. Like, don't throw yourself so far in there, because when I was consistently working, there were elements that I loved about it, but then there were other parts where I felt like I wasn't fully tapped into my purpose. I didn't even know what to look for yet. Like, I knew what I wanted to do, but I'm like, I'm afraid, man. I'm afraid. Like, I don't know what this is going to look like. And there are days where I'm like, it's looking a little steep, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm much more at peace than I was when I thought I had security. Like the things that I put my security in, it really wasn't that. And I think now I'm like in a whole different place, like a full 180. So my schedule is very up and down, but it allows me to be flexible in the time and what I do with my time. And so if I'm not on set, if I'm not recording or things like that, then I am, I'm really taking that downtime and just using that as an opportunity and as a space to really continue to take care of myself, rather than seeing it as I'm not working. I'm not working, and I feel like I'm just not doing enough. Like, I use that as a grateful time for me to just be able to like focus on other things too. So with you taking a lot of time to focus on things like your health and your fitness and your passions, your creative passions, do you still feel like you're fulfilled? Because it seems like the only thing that's missing for you right now is the money factor. But we know money isn't everything. Even without that factor, without the big checks and the big gigs or whatever, do you still feel fulfilled in like the area of life you're in right now? Honestly, yes, I really do. But I'm gonna be real. I like to spend money. I like really nice things, but I really believe that this time is helping me to build the financial future that I want. Because before, when I was making consistent money, I was a terrible spender. I was not good at saving. I was just blowing my money. And so I really had to be forced to not just have all this extra money. You got just enough to pay your bills. You got just enough to make sure that you're good and covered. But all that extra stuff gonna have to wait. And so I think that had to happen to me personally, because I didn't have any discipline with my money. And so I do feel like I'm in a better place because of that. And I do believe that I will get to a much better financial place as I continue to grow in my career. Like, I feel it and I trust it, and I believe that when that money comes consistently, I'm going to be a much better steward of it than I was before, with probably less money than what I thought I could have been making. So it's really, I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is to just remind myself that money isn't everything. I do enjoy money, and I will be very happy once it's consistent again. But in the right now, what can I be doing right now to create a better foundation for myself for when that abundance comes? Because it's going to come back. I believe it. But what am I going to do when it comes back? Am I going to make the same mistakes I made before, or am I going to save better? Am I going to invest? Am I going to put money towards the things that I need first before the things that I want? I can still enjoy nice things. I don't want to deprive myself of that. But I just had to be smarter. with the way I was
Yeah.
handling my money. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just think that's so much. In the long run, I think it'll pay off for you more to
Yeah.
fulfill those like creative passions and positive passions, and money is gonna come and go regardless. Like you were
Mhm.
saying, you could make a lot of money and then spend a lot of money and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not feeling very fulfilled right now
Mm.
because I'm working a job. I love my job. I travel for a living. It's nice, but I'm working it to make money and to have health benefits and flight benefits, right?
Mhm.
But you know me, I am creative, just like
Yes.
you. Like, and you know when you don't feed into that, like how it can make you feel. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm like too focused on the money. Like I feel like I can't give
Mm.
as much time and energy to my creative passions, which I know I can. I know it can be done. You know, I see other people do it, but I guess it's just that fear that's like
Mhm.
holding me back from it. You know.
Oh yeah, that fear was holding on to me for quite some time. So I really understand that. And we're adults. We do have bills to pay, keeping a
Yeah.
roof over our head. Everybody's situation looks really different. So
Yeah.
it in reality it's not always that simple for all of us to just say, let's just all like walk away and like
Yeah.
and it wasn't easy for me either, but it does make a difference. Like when we don't
Oh,
feed
for
into that,
sure.
it feels like we're like thirsting for something and we just don't
Literally.
really know. Like what is your day-to-day look like if you're not working? Like is that is just like a rest day, right? Is that more of what
A
that is?
lot of it,
I
yeah,
understand, yeah.
because it's so busy, you know, and then I only end up being home like 2, 3 days out the week. And I'm either resting, like you said, or I have someone's event, you know, birthday, dinner with this person, meet with this person, meet with that person. And then it's like back onto another
Mhm.
trip. So it's like I really haven't been able to feed into myself in that way because I haven't really given myself the time to. I'm in a period right now where I kind of have to like make the decision, and I'm trying to like balance the two as much as I can, but I haven't really been able to fully immerse myself into creativity, and it's like,
Yeah. It's some decisions and I
yeah,
I feel like the biggest thing is like you'll know when it's time to make whatever decision you have to make. Like you'll just feel it. Like it'll be unshakable.
so do you feel like your purpose and your career have to align, or that they should align?
At first I kind of wasn't really sure like what is my purpose, and even now I'm still kind of figuring it out, but I think I'm getting closer to it. But I feel like my purpose is merging into my career a little bit more,
Yeah.
because at first the way that I looked at my career and my passions in the industry is this is something that I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. I went to school and I studied this. Me, 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 me. Very,
Mm.
very self-serving. My career is for me. That's
Mm.
that's how I processed it for a long time.
Yeah.
But as I really started to like tap in a little bit more with God, I discovered that even my career is not just for me. It's for somebody else. It's for other people, and that's what the purpose is connected to. That purpose is
Yeah.
not self-serving. It doesn't mean that okay, God doesn't want anything good for me. He's just using me as a tool for everybody else, but then no, like obviously he's still going to provide for me and give me the desires of my heart, but me seeking out that purpose first allows me to like move through my career and through my purpose as I'm discovering it in a way that says, okay, how can I use the gifts that I've been given to really impact other people? Even if I do feel like I do enjoy these things for myself, there are other people that can be moved by this. There are other people that, can be affected by this in some way. So how can I make this more purposeful than
A
just
hundred
for
percent.
myself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people think like, say I want to be a nurse,
Hmm.
so they think like being a nurse is just like, okay, I'm a nurse, but that's not your purpose to be a nurse. Your purpose is to help people, to care for people, to provide for people. So I like that you said that you learned to put the purpose first and then the career.
Yeah.
Because when you put the career first, then you have people like a lot of the nurses you see nowadays who are like, they're not caring, they're not helpful. They just want to be there, get their check, wear their little cute scrubs, and like that's the job that they want, but it's not like purposeful for them, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think that your purpose is married to your profession. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I I could be the person I am and serve my purpose as a flight attendant. I could also serve my purpose as a doctor. I could
Yeah.
serve my purpose as a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, your purpose is not, they're not directly coordinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that whatever job you choose to do, your purpose should shine through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, I think that as far as like your career and things like that, like it starts off as something that's just like, this is what I love, this is, what I care about and things like that. But your purpose sometimes is through that career. Like you're supposed to be helping people, so you're gonna help people through being a nurse. But I also believe that we have multiple purposes sometimes too. A lot of times I feel like there's more than one purpose.
Yeah.
And maybe for some people that might hear that, it may feel overwhelming. Like, I don't know what my first purpose, like,
Yeah.
it's how many of them we got going on. But it's like, you never know, because we're all gifted with multiple things, I feel like. And
100%.
so it's just figuring out in what way you're going to be used to
Yeah.
fulfill that purpose. But I do think that it helps once they do align. They may not align initially, it may feel like careers over here, purposes over here, but I think as time goes on, they will start to merge together, and then it'll seep through everything you do in your
Yeah.
life. Like, whether it's your career or not, purpose is just gonna like flow out of you at that point.
Oh,
Is so
100%.
I don't know. That's a good question though. Like,
yeah. Well, I feel like at the end of the day, God put us all here. Our prime purpose is like to love each other, right?
Mhm.
So I think you can get closer to your purpose, one, by just realizing that, like, my purpose on earth as a human is to love my neighbor, love each other. I was watching something the other day, and they were talking about the 10 Commandments and how every single commandment is based in love. Like, do not steal. Like, because if you were to go and steal something from your neighbor, like, that's not showing
That's not love,
That's
yeah.
the opposite of love. That's evil. So, like, our primary purpose is to love. I think if people realize that's where they start, then they can be like, okay, how can I, with my skills, my talents, my knowledge, how can I love on the world, love on people,
Yeah.
love on, maybe you're in tech, love on computers, improve the internet in some way or something like that. I think a lot of people, if you just start there, like, what can I do to provide the world and its inhabitants with love, then it could be easier to find, like, what your purpose is and what you can contribute to that,
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, doing things in love first allows you to move more authentically. I feel like when you're doing things out of love and to love on other people, or even to just love on yourself, like, I feel like that has so much more impact, because your heart is just so pure behind it. There's no other intent besides, I just want to spread love, I want to share love, I want people to understand God's love and how it shows up in my life, and I want everybody to experience that same thing. And that can be made possible by moving through your purpose, and that people can see love in that doctor's room, or people can see love in that fashion design school that you're part of, or through hair. My mom is a cosmetologist, and when I tell you, she might as well be a therapist too, because it's just like the way that her clients love on her, the way that she loves on her clients, pours into them, they pour into her.
100%.
It's therapeutic. And I just think that God didn't just say, okay, I'm gonna give you a gift with your hands to do hair. That is not her. Her purpose is moving through love and sharing God's love, but she's a conduit of that through being a cosmetologist and through being a pastor. Like, those are two totally different lanes,
100%.
but she's doing the same work through both of them. Not even forcing it. It's just because she's moving with love first, it just shows up in every part of her life and everything that she does.
And it's gonna show, like,
Yeah.
you can see if somebody here is done with love or not. Or even
Right.
like a chef, like,
Yes.
like, you can tell when food is made with love or when
Yes.
it's just thrown together. So that's
Exactly.
very valid.
Exactly.
That is very valid. So do you feel like your purpose can evolve as you evolve?
Oh, yes. It is evolving every single day. I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow, the next day. I just know, like, today and where I am right now, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction within my purpose. But it's just amazing to me, because even over the last months alone, I have literally felt and seen myself evolve in ways that are unrecognizable, not in a sense of like, I'm acting brand new and don't nobody know me. Rip me out the plastic. Like, no, it ain't that. Like, I'm not saying, like, if you knew me before, no, you didn't. It's not that. But I will say, even because, once again, I'll just go back to college for an example.
Yeah.
Who I was in college obviously has changed over the years from who I am now.
Right.
But there are just certain things that I thought I wouldn't be able to necessarily let go of, or habits or certain mindsets that I didn't think I would be able to let go of. But because I feel like I'm walking in my purpose so much more, I'm continuously evolving every single day, and it's like I just don't know what the next day is going to look like, but I know that like I'm walking in the right direction. I feel so sure about that, and I don't think I've ever felt so sure about anything in my life for real, except for like where I am right now. Like, I don't have the answers, and I'm actually okay with not having the answers right now. Like, I'm actually okay with that, which is not typical for me, and for a lot of people, we don't want to just be walking around not like, but I feel like because I'm moving in intentionality and purpose, but not forcing things, I don't really feel like I need to ask questions right now, because I just feel like where I'm going is the right way. And if some need to be redirected, I mean, God just gonna move me around somewhere else, and I don't know, and I just have to pray about it if I feel confused about where I'm being moved to. Because I'll have questions, I do have questions from time to time.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's what I've been struggling with. I'm like, waiting for a little more direction,
Yeah, and questions are good. I feel like sometimes we're afraid of questions because it's like, well, maybe it means we don't really trust God and what he's doing, but it's part of the relationship. I mean, there are going to be questions. There's going to be confusion, sadness, anger. I'm experiencing those things as well through the journey, but because I'm reminded of like, okay, he did it before, he can do it again in a whole new way, in a bigger way. I ask the questions and I continue to pray about it, but I know that can be tricky realistically, and it's still tricky for me. I'm really trying to figure that out as well. I don't think questions are a bad thing.
So like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you are in terms of like trusting in God's plan and like fully giving up your own and just sacrificing to,
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. And some days I have to ask myself, like, do I really, trust like all the way? Like, because I've never fully put my full, to be honest, I've always been a believer and I've always loved God, but I never really knew what like putting your full trust into him was. And then when I left my job and I said, okay, I'm giving you something that is very important to me, which is my finances. I don't know what you're about to do with this. And even, a little over a year later, I mean, I'm not a millionaire, but nowhere near that by any means. I mean, I'm still going through my, financial struggles from time to time. But I feel like once I did that, everything else was just like, if I could do that, then I'm just gonna have to trust him with everything else. Any other things that I'm tied to, like material possessions, social media, like stuff like that, like even just giving up some of that. Like I still get on it and I post, but I'm much quicker to like get rid of the app for some days and then come back to it when I'm ready. Whereas before, I'm like, I really can't let go of this one. Like, this is tough.
In another video, we were just talking about like the metaverse and like how crazy social media has become and how we're so into the phones at all times. And we were just talking about how it kind of is like pulling people away from their purpose. Like, even me, I found that for myself, because this thing is taking up so much of my time every day, so much of my attention. I'm sitting here scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours. I was supposed to do this, that, and the third, and I'm missing out on things in my real life that I should have achieved because I'm busy worrying about what's going on in other people's lives, or what this person's doing, or that, what news, like, it really can like snatch you away from your purpose.
And snatching me, okay? Snatching me up. Like, literally, like, there was a point where I literally had to just, like, I had bought this book to help me, like, detach from my, like, it was literally a book about, like, detaching from your phone. Because I was like, this is making me tired. And I feel like I can't create because, I'm looking at other people create, but I'm not creating. And then it makes me feel insufficient. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. But it's like, girl, you could have been doing something while you was sitting here watching other people do the things that you said you wanted to do. So for me, like, I didn't have no balance with it at all. So I was like, sometimes I have to kind of cold turkey myself from certain things and then slowly work my way back in some things. Whereas others, I take it bit by bit. It's hard, man. They make it they make it hard to just not be on social media, like,
that's
for real.
the thing. Like, I'm interested in seeing how we move forward with social media in the years to come, because everything is just so public. We, are posting all these details of our life. And I was watching a TikTok recently, and they were talking about how in the future, like, privacy is going to mean so much, because all of our lives have constantly been pushed so much on social media, and we're starting to see the backlash of that. Like, people have been losing scholarships or, like, jobs because they're getting canceled for something that was done on social media. And, like, a lot of people are starting to,
Draw back
it a little bit.
I know.
So it's like this big influx of technology right now in social media, but I also kind of see it starting to go away. Like, even think about a few years ago, the influencers, like, that's what we were constantly seeing. Those people are getting paid. Now, they can't even post, on Instagram and make that same kind of money now, because people aren't on it as much. People don't care as much to see, like, an influencer. So it'll be interesting to see, because we have this rise of technology, but at the same time, people are starting to, like, denounce it a little bit. So we talked about this a little bit, but how do you combat, like, the pressure to work based off of your sight or your feelings rather than, like, what God has planned for you? How do you combat that?
Honestly, like, I have started reading the Bible for the first time in my life. Like, literally sitting, but you know what? I didn't start from Genesis. I'm starting in the New Testament, because I wanted to learn about who Jesus was. Not just what he did, but who he was, and why we follow him, and why we want to be more like Jesus, and learning about who he is.
I'm sorry. I've just been having so much conviction to, like, get into the Bible. Like,
I understand.
God has been telling me constantly to read it for myself. It's just such a big undertaking.
It's very daunting for sure, because it was not something that I was just like, like, I'm just gonna pick it up and read it one day. I had to get things in bite sizes, and I think part of it too is just, I've been, like, going to Bible study and just learning things little by little, and, like, sometimes when I'm, like, hearing sermons and I don't really know the story or the person, I'm like, okay, this piques my interest. Like, I want to know who this person is. Right. Like, I kind of feel like I need to read the story to have better context, but it's really helping me, like, look at things in a different lens. Taking longer breaks from social media also keeps my vision very focused on just what I'm doing. On one side, it's like, okay, I'm out of the loop about a lot of stuff. Sometimes it could be news related, very important things that I just have no clue about, and I need to make sure that I'm informed. But then there's this other side that's like, I do not need to know what everybody is doing right now. God is creating a path for me that is going to be so unique, something that has never been seen before. And I feel like that for everybody. It's almost hard to compare yourself to anybody else and what they're doing, because God is doing a different work in their life. What I'm doing doesn't really have to look like anybody else's thing. And it never has. I think that's what it is for me. As many times as I've tried to fit in and be a part of certain things, like, it just never worked out that way. And for a long time, I felt very isolated. Like, okay, why can't it just look the same? Like, why can't we all just do the same thing? And it's like, God has something different for each person. Even if I'm in the same industry as 50 other people that I know, we all got different paths. We all are going to have different timelines. 100%. And we don't always know everybody's backstory. That's
the thing. You just
to where
see,
they
like
got.
People always say, you just see the highlight reel, like.
And
you don't see all the bad things they had to go through to get there. You don't see all the work they had to go through to get there. A lot of times we just see the end result.
And this kind of goes into the whole, purpose merging into your career. Even with me being in, like, film and production in the short amount of time that I've been in it, I've had to deal with things that I'm like, I don't want anybody else to deal with this. After, I don't want another black girl to deal with this that want to do the same thing as me. So now I feel like my purpose is stepping into a different lane than even what I thought it was going to be at first. You know, I thought at first, like as far as my career, like, you know, I only want to act. I only want to be in front of the camera. But some of the things that I've been coming across in the short period of time, as I'm learning, I enjoy telling the story behind the lens, and I do believe that there's a level of advocacy in my purpose, and you know, being able to advocate for people in spaces who stepped into the same lane that I stepped into and felt like, well, I don't know that I have a voice because this what I see around me are people who are at a different level than me, and I feel like I just have to go along with certain things, and I feel like a big part of my purpose is connected to where I'm moving in my career now and stepping further and further from in front of the camera, so that the people that I can get in front of the camera now, I can let them know and I can reassure them that your career doesn't have to necessarily look and feel, you don't have to go through the same things all the time that maybe you feel like most people had to go through, because sometimes we just got to experience the stuff first to help somebody else.
Exactly.
And
maybe
so
that's why you don't have the sight right now in the moment, because maybe God is about to do something new in you, and you're going to be the first person to do it, and you have to be the one to blaze that path for the next people and be that example, you know.
And I truly believe that, because I just feel like there are people connected to my life, and I feel like I'm connected to other people's lives in a way that we can create something, a community, something that changes the whole trajectory of the industry that we got into in the first place, and looking at it in a different lens. And I just, it's so much bigger than me now.
Okay, let's say perfect scenario, right? God shows you what his will is for your life and lays it out perfectly, clear for you to see, right?
That's scary, but okay.
Very. See, we always talk about how we don't see, but if we did imagine.
Then what?
So imagine it's laid out perfectly for you, but deep inside you feel like that's not what you want to do. Do you feel like you would still follow the will that God had for you?
Just my seat in here. That's, woo, that is a question, girl. Because it's like, we do say that all the time. Like, I just wish that he could just lay it out for us. But would we still say yes? If we could see our entire lives for the rest of, you know, moving forward, would we say yes? I feel like because I've gone this long without being able to know, you know, completely what's happening, but I'm just following, but I just can't see everything right away. It's like in my heart, I want to say yes. I feel like it would, depending on what I saw though, if it didn't align, it would take me I think it would take me much longer to say, okay, I'm going to just keep going. Like, depending on what it was that I saw.
Because imagine you feel like you're on the right track, you know, with what you're doing in your life, your passions. And then he comes and says, no, this is what it needs to be, which that actually does happen to a lot of people.
It does.
You know?
And you know what, Lorrynda? Honestly, I feel like that is kind of what he's doing right now. But it's like I'm following it. But I'm starting to discover that he is putting ministry over my life more than the career. And they're two different areas. I believe they'll merge, you know, at some point. But there are times where I'm like, I feel like you telling me to like really just go into ministry, but like I also have this over here. So like, but it's like you can do ministry in wherever you are and whatever 100%. Industry you're in. But like sometimes I do feel like God is like tugging on me a little bit more, like, yep, just come over to this side a little bit more, you know, you'll still get, you know, the other things, but just not right now type of thing. But honestly, to answer your question, realistically, I would hesitate at first, and it would take me a little bit longer, which I don't know how long, but it would take me a little bit longer before I say, okay, I'm going to do it. So I would do it, but it would take me a while. I wouldn't just be like, okay, yep, let's go with it. Because I don't know what it is. Like, I'm scared, or I don't know what this is going to look like. Or is it going to like put me in a different place that's unfamiliar, which we know God he works like that. He puts us in very unfamiliar places to help us grow. So yeah, it would take me some time. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like I'm in an area right now with seeking answers from God where I'm almost like desperate. Like, so if He was to put it in front of me
You
and
like,
lay it out, I'd
please,
be like,
yes.
all right, I am on it. What you need me? You need me to go here, do this. I'm there tomorrow. Okay, you feel me?
But you know what?
What?
I don't know. I feel like you kind of like what you're saying is like what you could be walking into like right now, because you were just saying like, you know, I'm working and things like that, but I also want to be creative. But for you to just be so willing to say it right now, like I would just lay it all out. We know He's never gonna really do that,
No.
but it says a lot about your heart posture. Like
Yeah.
you're ready to receive something, and I think that is what's really amazing. Because a lot of us, we be like,
Yeah.
God, I want to see your amazing works, but like also, if you show me too much, I'm gonna be afraid that I can't handle it or I can't sustain that thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that's really good that you're like, please, God, show me something. Maybe He is.
That's what I was
Maybe
gonna
He is.
say. I feel like maybe I'm in a period where He's kind of like breaking me down and really causing me to be quiet and just sit and listen.
Yes.
And that's what I've been trying to do, is just listen. So I feel like when He does like give me that next step to take, I'm going to take it.
That's like a great thing too, like that period of just like the quiet time, that quiet place.
Yeah.
It's very unfamiliar. It's very strange.
It's
Sometimes
humbling.
it's very humbling because it's like we don't know how long we're going to be in this quiet place. We don't know if there are certain days where we should just be sitting in one place and wait for something to just fall from the heavens and listen for that, or if we need to be like actively praying or actively seeking something out. Like what in the world does the quiet place look like? But I feel like we all got to go through that, and so it's I mean, it's coming.
It's funny we're having this conversation because my pastor just started a series yesterday called Winning at Waiting.
Ooh,
and it
that's good.
resonated with me so much. And he opened up talking about the story, I believe it's Abraham and his wife. I can't remember.
Now I told you I ain't start from the beginning of the Bible, so I only remember like kid Bible stories. But I definitely have to go back and
I know
read.
you know the story. Like he had promised them a child, right? And then the child was taking too long for them, so then they ended up having him sleep with his handmaid Hagar, and then they had, I think Ishmael was the son's name, and he ended up being like a mess, like a hot mess. And basically the root of the story is just like God has a promise for you, but sometimes you're not being patient enough to receive it, and you think you have to go about doing things on your own. And how it turns out.
That's where we get messed up.
Man, that happened to me for a minute. So I don't know if I talked to you about it, but for a while I was going to get into real estate.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, girl. I went to school for it and everything. I had finished schooling and I was doing the testing for it. And it seemed like I thought it was an easy test, right? I took the test, got 3 questions wrong. I was like, it's okay, I can retake it. When I said I took it 4 times, and the last 3 times I took it, I got 1 question wrong. I was like, okay, because this is just a little much. Just a little much. And mind you, I feel like this was very humbling for me because I've never failed at anything in my life. School has always come easy to me. Learning, test taking, all that stuff has always come super easy for me. And I always felt like God's favor. And I think, looking back, I think I felt that because I was always on the right path, you know? But then as soon as I drifted onto this path that I thought, you know, felt might be for me, then it was like these hiccups kept coming. And I was like, why am I just getting 1 question wrong? Like, I know all this info. It's just 1 question. And now looking back, I feel like that was just God.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he was like, yes, you know, yes, you want to get into this. Yes, you know, the knowledge, but this is not where you're meant to be right now.
Yeah.
So I always felt like he was just like stopping me from getting them 1 answer, that 1 question right, to keep me from something that wasn't meant for me,
Yeah.
And like looking back now, I can see that that's what that was, but in the moment it was just so humbling.
Oh yeah, it's
so
very
humbling.
disappointing in the moment, and it's frustrating. Like, okay, God, like I just thought this what you said. He like, I didn't say that. You said it, type of thing. And you
part.
and it's those moments are very humbling. And it also, and I don't know specifically in your situation if that is what it is, but sometimes when stuff like that happens, it's like just not right now. Like it can happen. It's just not gonna happen right now.
That's
for
true.
Several reasons. And he knows when we're not really ready for stuff yet. Like we want to be ready, but we're just not. And so he'll like withhold it for a while, or just be like, that was never what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. So no. So that definitely can be tough. It really can. Yeah.
But that situation is what kind of taught me, like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to take things into my own hands and just sit and be quiet and just wait and just win at waiting and be comfortable where I am until you speak and until you move. So that's where I'm in right now.
I love stuff like this. And
Thanks
for inviting me. Yes, I love being questioned. I know a lot.